Yeah, there are a lot of cleaning business owners that lose contracts before they're even able to quote a price. And a lot of the time, they don't even know, why they're losing out on these accounts. And for the longest time, I didn't either. But I'm gonna tell you exactly when it is that I figured this out, how I figured it out, and what I did about it. But more importantly than me telling you that, I'm gonna tell you how you can apply it to your business so you can start using what I'm gonna share with you in this video today. Now, it's only gonna take me 3, maybe 4 minutes for me to explain this to you. And if you don't have 3 or 4 minutes, then I get it. This video is not for you. There are plenty of celebrity gossip channels that's on YouTube that you can learn something from. But this video in particular, this video is for someone who wants to grow their business. They want to learn and they want to be able to implement something from this video into their business. They can do it today. So if that's you, I encourage you to stick through, take notes, and leave me comments if you got questions about something that you're not quite clear on. So since I'm talking about client acquisitions, right? This is what we're talking about. I have in my business, like, we have a complete system, and a system is for everything. Different parts of the business have different systems, and within each system there's a framework. Since we're talking about client acquisition, let me talk to you about my client acquisition framework. Now, this is something that I teach, everyone who goes out and does walkthroughs. I'm even starting to teach, the frontline workers, the ones who are in the buildings doing the cleaning. I'm even starting to teach them this framework too. But the name of the framework, and I have to name it so that it's easier to remember, is called CALIST, C-A-L-I-S-T. This is something that I created. You can't Google it. And CALIST is an acronym. What it stands for is choose, approach, listen, identify, survey, thank. If we hit on all of those things when we go out and we are acquiring new clients, we're not going to forget anything, and everything is going to be packaged in. We'll be able to make sure that we crossed all our T's, dotted all our I's, so the client gets everything they need and we get everything we need, so we can submit a bid that's going to reflect exactly what the client needs. So let me tell you about this particular day when I found out what I'm going to share with you in this video. So this walkthrough took place a couple of years ago, and this was in the fall. It was either October or November. I remember it being in the fall because I remember pulling up to the building, and I remember the oranges and the yellows of the leaves, and some of them are slowly starting to fall, and some of them are already just completely covered the ground. But I get out of the car and I'm walking up to the building. And as I'm walking up to the building, there's things that I'm scanning for. There's things that you should be scanning for too. I'm scanning for how the building looks on the outside as I'm walking up to it, right? And this is something that all the clients see. This is something that in real estate, they call it the curb appeal. How's the curb appeal of the building look? Well, I see that there's a bunch of leaves and it's a glass door, and I see that there are fingerprints and everything on the door. So I open the door, I come inside, I meet with the receptionist, I let her know who I am, who I'm there to see. Now, off to my left, there were, a couple of other people there. I just thought that maybe they were, people there for the business or whatever. I didn't think they are who, they ended up being, and I find out who they are in a few minutes. So anyways, the receptionist calls for my POC, my point of contact. She comes out, and the people now I'm learning that are off to my left, we're gonna do a group walkthrough, okay? And all of us together. So when she comes out, she greets me. She's like, yeah, hey, Marcus, your group, right? She's considering us a group now. She said, you guys are the 4th group that come through here within the last month or whatever it was. So, everyone's saying, okay, introducing ourselves, so on and so forth. We start the walkthrough. Now, the group walkthroughs are a little bit different than one-on-one walkthroughs because it's not as personable. So if this is an account that you really want, you have to kind of do things that make you stand out. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I was able to do to separate me from those other guys. They didn't stand a chance once we got in and we start going over all of the problems. Now, it was important for me to bring up to you my framework, CALIST, because once we're in and we're meeting and we're now being showed around, we're in the L portion of the framework, which stands for listen. So we go through and we're walking around the building, and she's pointing out the things that they're missing. Now, one thing that I have to point out, that I have to say this before we continue. When I told you I was walking up to the building and I'm scanning everything, I'm scanning, yes, for the curb appeal, but I'm also scanning for problems, just in case the person that I'm doing the walkthrough with, just in case they don't see that, just in case that, all of their problems are other things, garbages, trash cans, bathrooms. I can always have something in addition to those things that I can point out too, basically to validate their concerns. So we are doing the walkthrough and we're going around. She's showing us different things. She's showing us some of the problems that they have, and just the typical stuff. Nothing is too far out of the ordinary. This is a group walkthrough, and the other guys, they are a little quiet, and it's to the point now where I'm separating myself from them. Like we have to establish some sort of hierarchy here, and to me, I want to make sure that I'm memorable to her. So those guys can stay in the back. They can, take their notes and do their things that they're doing, but I'm trying to build a relationship as quickly as possible as I can with her. So by the time we get to the point where she really wants to show what the problem is, we're now on a first name basis. She knows my name. I know her name. She's calling me by my first name. Perfectly fine. Things are going exactly the way that I want it to go. So we get to the portion of the walkthrough where she stops us, right? And this is where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to say this specifically, for you. There's something that's called diagnostic selling, and in diagnostic selling, you're looking for additional services that you can offer, and this is where diagnostic selling kicks in. So we're at this point of the walkthrough, and she brings us all together. She's like, "This is my biggest pet peeve. This is something that multiple people have complained about." She's bringing us in close and telling us these things because this is something that we really need to pay attention to. And this is the reason why they keep going through, cleaners, because no one can really seem to tackle the problem that she's about to share with us, but I'm about to share with you. So she tells us what the problem is. And the problem is that there's this, concrete floor. And I don't know what the floor is because we're on the other side of these double doors that she's telling us. But there are these concrete floors and they just can't come clean. The cleaners won't clean them. The cleaners can't clean them, so on and so forth. Now, the way that the building is positioned, this is early in the morning, right? So we got the fall leaves coming down side. So we got those trees in the front, and we open up the door, and it's these huge double doors. They open up, they swing open, and the sun is still coming up. Now, as the sun is coming up, it's cutting through the pine trees that's on the other side of the windows, these floor to ceiling windows. Ceilings must have been 14 feet high. So these huge windows, the sun's coming through, breaking through the arms of the pine trees, and it's hitting the floor. And as it's hitting the floor, it's at its perfect time where everyone can see exactly what she's talking about. I mean, it's still early in the morning. There's no way that staff created what we were seeing. It was streaks. You could tell it was mop streaks that were all over the floor. Now here's where things, really start to get interesting, and when I started to separate myself from those other companies. So we're looking at the streaks, and she is very animated when it comes to these streaks. And the other companies, they're validating, yeah, we can fix it. And I'm not going to take the attention away from the moment and what it is that she's focusing on. But I want to dig a little bit deeper, because as I'm looking at it, I think I'm about 90 to 95% sure that I know exactly what the problem is with these floors. And I asked her, I said, hey, do you mind if we take a look inside of the janitor's closet? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. It's a good idea. I said, but before we do, I said, would you mind if I just got like a napkin, I wet it, and I just ran it across the floor? I want to pay attention to see if anything changes with the floor by the time we get back. Now, I get the napkin, wet it, put it on the floor, drag my feet across it. Now I know that when I pick this napkin up, that it's going to be dirty, right? So I pick it up. It is dirty. You can't see the streak on the floor. She's like, see, I knew it. I said, yeah, there's no doubt about it. This napkin is 100% dirty, but I want to be able to go ahead and continue looking to see if we can come up with a solid solution. I don't want to just tell you that I can do something or that my company can do it, and later on to find out that we're still having the same problem. She's like, oh no, that makes perfect sense. So we're walking over to the janitor's closet. Now, what I find in the janitor's closet let me know that now I'm 100% sure that I know what the problem is with the floor. So we open up the closet, and I see all the solutions, the chemicals they have, and inside of the mop bucket that they use to mop the floor, there's a big container of vinegar. Now I know that vinegar is causing the problem, because the thing is that when you have a concrete floor and it's sealed, you can't put vinegar, you can't put anything that's too acidic on that floor, or else it's going to eat through it. So what they were seeing was basically, it's like running sandpaper across wood. No matter how fine it is, after a while, you're going to start to see streaks. And this is what we were seeing. We were seeing the remnants of the concrete being eaten through, because the pH in the vinegar is stronger than the pH of the concrete, so it's eaten through. But they don't know this. So, and I'm not saying it just yet. So I said, okay, I think I know what the issue is. And as she's, asked her, she's asking, I said, well, before I say, what I think it is, let's go back to the floor and let's see if the streaks are still there. So we go back over there, streaks are there again, right? When we left, it was wet, you couldn't tell, but now it's there and she could see it. I said, well, the problem is this. I said, the problem is that, and I explained it to her, the pH of the vinegar is a lot stronger than the pH of the concrete, so on and so forth. I'm giving her a really, really quick education on the reason why she's continuing to have this problem. But I don't let her, I say, you're not wrong for bringing us in here. We can see the dust and the trash cans and all of the other things that's going on. I just want to let you know that this is a little bit bigger problem than nightly cleaning. I said, but the good news is that we can fix it. So what I said in the beginning of this video, we were talking about diagnostic selling. When you come across a problem and you're able to, you know that you can solve it, but it's going to be a little bit bigger than, or it's going to be more than the scope of work that you typically do, you're offering other services. And I'm going to tell you another service that I offered at the end of this. But I let her know what the process is. I let her know that we can fix it. I let her know that we can come in, we can do all the cleaning, but I'm not telling her, I'm not saying in front of them how we can get it fixed. Now I can tell you that there's not a product on the shelf that you can buy to fix that particular problem. You're basically gonna have to sand the floor and then dye it so that it matches the rest of the building and then seal it again. This is just the process of it. And I don't do it, but I have another company that we use. Whenever we come across these kind of jobs, this is what we use. So I'm telling her all of this stuff. The other companies are quiet, right? So now there's no longer you for our companies are here to give me a quote. They're now there to learn and to listen, because I'm talking with her and I'm actively solving her problems or giving her a roadmap to solve her problems before we even signed a contract. Now, as we're walking out of the building, right, because now it's about done and over with, and I point out a few more things. I don't overdo it, but I do point out a few more things. And I let her know, I said, hey, I'm gonna submit the proposal to you based on everything that we talked about. Now I'm gonna do it with the concrete restoration and without, so that way you can make a choice on what you want to do. If you want to go ahead and get it fixed for good, or if you guys are comfortable with it being the way that it is, I said it's completely up to you. But in addition to all of the other things that we talked about, one of the things that I would like to offer you is being able to make sure that we maintain the entrance, not just the inside of the building, but the entrance leading to the building. So the sidewalk, the pathway, the stairs, the leaves, and in the winter time when it snows or before it snows, we can go ahead and throw ice down on the ground. So that way when you or your staff come in the morning, you don't have to worry about slipping and falling. We'll go ahead and ice everything down, or we'll go ahead and salt everything down to make sure that the ice is melted, right? This is the diagnostic selling part that I'm talking about. So separating yourself, putting yourself on a completely different level, by not just focusing so much on, oh yeah, we can do it and this is our price. No, we want to let you know that not doing business with us is the worst thing that you could, one of the worst things you can do. The worst thing you can do is stay with who you're with. But then the second worst thing is obviously just not doing business with us. We want to make sure that we're teaching the prospect, so the prospect feels comfortable coming to us and relying on us to get all of the services done that's within our scope and within their needs. So the results, let's talk about the results. The result with this particular client, we actually did sign that contract, got the floors fixed. We kept that client for 2 years. They're no longer a client of ours, only because they ended up moving into a completely different building, a completely different space, where that building handles the cleaning work for them. But what I'm telling you absolutely works. I have multiple instances where this same type of scenario works. But there's one thing that I do want to clarify when I'm talking about diagnostic selling. So your diagnostic selling is being able to fully listen to what the client has to say, and then coming up with a tailored solution to fix that particular problem. What I did with the concrete is absolutely diagnostic selling. I'm listening to their problem and coming up with a tailored solution to fix it. But when it comes to the leaves on the outside and the sidewalk maintenance, that's actually upselling. That's not diagnostic selling. But that's it for today's video. If you got value from the video, I'm gonna ask you to leave a like, comment, and a share. Once again, you can get my complete framework and an ebook. Clean Money is in the description. It's also at marcuscrockett.com. But with that said, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.